Welcome into the Mike Herndon Show. I am Mike Herndon. This is week 9 already. And I am joined here by Easton Freeze, Director of Published Content for BroadwaySportsMedia.com, the website that brings you this show, as well as other great Nashville sports content. Easton, how are we doing? You got married since we last talked.
I did. I got married, and I'm very scattered this week. It's been a wild couple of weeks roller coaster ride, but I'm excited to be back and doing something that's a little bit part of the routine here. How are you? How's your week been? I've not been able to really catch up with anybody this past week. I've been so busy.
Yeah, so I've had a sick kiddo this week, so that's been an adventure. But he's better today and off at preschool. So
I know a lot of people that have gotten sick this week. I think there's something going around. But
for sure.
Other than that, we've got a lot of Titans to talk about today, and as usual, we're going to get into a significant film room portion of the show. A lot of, I think, pretty exciting clips to get into this week. While the game on Sunday was not the most exciting game in the world, there was, from a Titans perspective, there were some really nasty plays to get into that I saw on film. I've not gone through and seen what exactly you've pulled, but I'm assuming a lot of the same stuff is going to be in there, and I'm excited to break it down.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, so I'll admit that I actually had more fun watching this game than just about any Titans game since but
it was a sicko kind of fun. Like, it was a dirty kind of fun. It was not, what I mean? Like, it was gross.
It was like, I can't believe they're letting them continue to do this to them. Like, it is amazing. Like,
they can't keep getting away with this. And they just did over and over. Yeah, exactly.
It was kind of fun.
It was kind of a dirty pleasure watch, and we can dive into the film anywhere here. Do you want to jump into a little bit of the run game first?
Yeah, let's start with Derrick Henry and the historic performance. He had
a pretty nice day.
Yeah, pretty decent day. About average as he goes against the Texans.
Yeah. And that average just happens to be the best running back in the history of the league.
Yeah, so it's insane. Yeah, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, and his 4th consecutive game hitting 200 yards and 2 touchdowns minimum against the Texans. That is one of those stats that, like, I cannot imagine that ever being broken. Where
there's no way
player has a streak that long of that much dominance against one team. There's no way that's happening again.
Mike, we were talking about this on the Hot Read podcast earlier this week. In the same way that I think that Aaron Judge's home run record this past season is kind of a Mickey Mouse record because of the short porch they have in Yankee Stadium. Sure. Is it possible that this 6 games of 200 yards, 2 touchdowns or more by Derrick Henry is kind of a baloney record because 4 of them came to the Texans, and that doesn't really count like that? It's kind of cheating a little bit that he gets to keep playing against this terrible Texans franchise.
Yeah, they are really bad, and like they're a bad run defense. But honestly, I don't think they've given up 200 yards and 2 touchdowns to any other running back in that span. I may have to fact check that here, but
we need to look into that. But maybe you're right.
So it is still quite an accomplishment.
Yeah. Well, this first clip is a little bit of a highlight of the offensive line as much as anything else.
Yeah, so and that's the thing. So obviously Derrick Henry was fantastic in this game and continues to be just an absolute superstar. But the offensive line, and I know people bag on them for the pass protection, and we have as well, and they deserve it, quite frankly. But as a run blocking unit, they are really, really getting going, especially the interior trio, of Brewer, Jones, and Davis. And this is the 3 that you really need to look at on this play, because watching Davis and Brewer, the way they're athletically able to climb to the second level against these linebackers is super special for guards. I mean, obviously, we've talked a little bit about Brewer kind of being a unique athlete before, and Davis is a really good athlete for a guard as well. But these guys are just unbelievable at reaching linebackers and getting, just a flush contact and just opening up these huge holes. I mean, look at the hole that they've got here. There's nobody within 5 yards of Derrick Henry that is unblocked when he hits the line of scrimmage here. And so, I mean, it's not a huge gain. I mean, it's by Derrick Henry versus Texan standards, right? It's not a huge gain here. It's I think 7 or 8 yards, but one of the interesting things about this series was they were first and goal from the 14 because they had a penalty, one of several false starts that they had in this game, which I think is largely due to cadence issues with a new quarterback under center. But they ran the ball 4 times and scored from the 14-yard line. So the ability to just line up on first and goal from the 14 and just run the ball straight down their throats into the end zone is pretty special stuff. So that was a fun series there, but that blocking in that interior trio is just some really amazing stuff.
And here's another one of those runs in the red zone area.
Yeah,
this was on fourth down right here.
Yeah, this was the 4th down run. And this is the easiest touchdown you'll ever see Derrick Henry score.
1,000%.
Yeah, I mean the blocks to highlight here are really Petit Frere and Radens. Really, Radens in as the jumbo tackle to the left on the screen there of Petit Frere, right as you're looking at the formation, but. They just completely cave in the edge.
They're in duo here again as well, right? Like they're running quite a bit of duo these days.
Yeah, and this is if you watch Stingley, the corner out there, 24, wants zero part of Swaim. Which Swaim, I really
he literally runs away from Swaim in the end zone. He doesn't even attempt to.
Yeah, there's no effort there whatsoever to take on that block. But Swaim, I love the design here with them sending Swaim in jet motion and using him as a lead blocker there, because it doesn't give the defense a chance to react to the numbers change, right? So they shift the strength of the formation here, but they do it as they're snapping the ball. So the Texans linebackers don't get the chance to bump over and reset, which is really what gives them the clear edge on that play and makes it for a nice design. So like that's a really nice detail that they're working in on that goal line call there. So, I know like Todd Downing takes a lot of shit as an offensive coordinator and a lot of it rightfully so.
Yeah.
But some of the run game design stuff that they do is really, really good.
It is.
And I think
Todd Downing is actually an above average, maybe even quite good play designer.
I think
it's his judgment in calling such plays that is really suspect. He
struggles with, I think, some of the game flow stuff, like being able to have a feel for the game and when to hit certain things. And also think he still struggles. Like I still don't love the spacing on some of their pass concepts and things like that. Although everyone's favorite, assistant coach Tim Kelly is the passing game coordinator. So he has a large say in what those passing concepts look like. So I think, I know we aren't allowed to say bad things about him because he's the one that's going to fix the offense magically whenever they fire Downing. But that some of that's got to go on Tim Kelly, in my opinion. So I think it's this, though, from a game plan standpoint, absolutely loved what they did. They ran the ball a million different ways. They basically went deep into their bag as a run attack and just hit them with everything you could think of. I mean, they ran stuff.
The Titans is a very deep bag.
Absolutely. And they ran stuff that I'd never seen before. Like that jet motion lead, I'd never seen them run that before. I'd never seen them run. I think there was a play before that was new where Malik Willis kind of looks like he's running a read option, but then Derrick Henry actually turns into a lead blocker. It's really like play action QB power somehow, which is kind of a different look, but they really got into some deep cuts of the run game, and it was very effective.
Yeah, well, here's the biggest run of Henry's season, if I'm not mistaken, the 41-yard run early in the game. Was this the second play of the game? It was very early on.
I believe so. Yeah, it was very early. No, this one wasn't the 41-yarder. This
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, this was the bounce outside here. So
mislabeled.
This is the one that to me kind of signifies Henry being back,
Okay. Walk us through it.
Because this jump cut that he makes to attack the edge and get to the corner, this is something that he's done throughout his career. I mean, that's where that stiff arm comes from. That's most of the time when he posterizes someone with a stiff arm, it's because he's taking a run like this and he just bounces it because he thinks he can beat the corner and just shoves not Byron. I keep wanting to call him Byron Stingley. Derek Stingley shoves his face in the dirt here. And I mean, that one's not quite as bad, honestly, because Stingley just didn't put up as much of a fight as like Josh Norman or what was the Bynes from Detroit that got it really bad. But this is
he
just
was wise to do so.
Yeah. He just gets, he's on his back looking at the run after that. I mean, the blocking here is, mostly fine. And honestly, Petit Frere kind of whiffs on his block, which is ultimately why Henry sees the opportunity to bounce. But that is the kind of run that when Derrick Henry is right, that is the kind of stuff he can do, because that wasn't necessarily a perfectly blocked run. That was just him being, an apex predator kind of athlete and making something happen.
Yeah, and here I believe that I've found, this is the video of the 41-yarder, if I'm not mistaken. So here's that big run we were talking about.
Yeah, I think this is it.
And this one is definitely well blocked.
Yeah, this one's well blocked. And
double motion there from the blockers.
Yeah, and I like some of that stuff. They did a lot with motion in this game to try to kind of mess with the Texans' eyes and make them hesitate just a little bit. And they end up using, I think it's Okonkwo there to kick out the edge. And he does a great job here. Okonkwo's blocking has really come along as the season's gone on.
I think ultimately it's the reason you've seen him getting more run out there, because as warped as this coaching philosophy may be, that's the way the tight ends get on the field for this team.
It is. I mean, when you've got Derrick Henry, you're going to use him, and when you're going to use him, you got to block. So that is Okonkwo, kicking out this edge. But then the key block to me on this one is really Aaron Brewer, who starts off with a double with our buddy Double D on the 3 technique here, but then peels off just at the right time to hook this linebacker. And that gives Henry the opening. And then from there, it's just Henry being a freak, right? And this is, again, he gets in the open field here. Watch him. He just completely leaves 32 in the dust. He stiff arms 36 to the ground. And then he's off to the races here. And it's pretty rare that he gets caught from behind on a play like this.
That was like an angle thing more to me, because
that's kind of what I thought too.
Yeah. Look, this corner, it's a cornerback, I believe, number 5, who ends up tracking him down. He's got a straight
Steven Nelson.
Okay, gotcha. Well, nonetheless, it's a defensive back that has a straight line to him, and Henry incidentally runs into his path there. I don't think.
Yeah, I'm not sure he knew he was there as he kind of widened there, because he was trying to get the angle to throw the stiff arm on the safety, and I'm not sure he knew the corner was that close.
That does take us into a question that I wanted us to address today. That being said, I think you and I agree that it was more of an angle thing on that play than anything. But at this point, we're halfway through the season, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It feels like we can say with confidence that maybe Derrick has lost a quarter step of his top end speed.
Yeah.
But, and you can agree or disagree with me on this, I think he's actually refined his abilities as a runner in other areas more. I think overall, this is still, in that game in particular, he looked like the best that we'd seen him as an overall runner. He seems more well-rounded today than maybe he ever has in his career. What are your thoughts on him as a runner right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that analysis there. I think his top end, like his 5th gear, is not quite there like it used to be, but his jump cuts, his ability to make guys miss in open field, and obviously the power and physicality with which he runs. Because when Derrick was starting his career here, he was huge, and everyone expected him to be like this physical downhill guy, but he really wasn't that. He was a scat back in a
poor decisiveness and poor vision just crippled him to begin his career, right?
Yeah, and he wasn't necessarily, putting his head down between the tackles into messy reads and just pushing the pile, right? That wasn't his game so much, but now he definitely does that. And he still has all the other stuff that makes him special. I think to me, he's still the best back in the NFL from a, just talent standpoint, and he's added some of the passing game stuff this year, which kind of rounds his game out as well. So yeah, I think he's definitely found another level with some of the stuff that kind of is replacing some of that top end home run hitter stuff. Not that I think he's still going to break one for 60, 70 yards at some point this season, but there may not be 7 of those this year. There might only be 1 or 2.
I watch him play right now, and there's maybe nothing else with this team that I've seen more dramatically shift from week 1 to week 8 than his vision. I'm not sure he's ever had sharper vision as a runner than he has right now, which if you remember back to the Giants game, the Bills game, like we were kind of questioning maybe he's a little rusty because it doesn't seem like he's seeing the field all that well right now. Flash forward 2 months and it feels like he is seeing it better than he ever has.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think it is, him getting comfortable with the guys in front of him. I mean, obviously, Brewer being a new guy and Daly and Nicholas Petit-Frere. I mean, you've had a lot of changeover on that offensive line, and it takes a little bit of time, to get comfortable with, hey, this guy's going to see it the same way I am, and I need to be able to read off of him or set him up for success. It takes a little bit of time to get that timing down. And it's also a thing where every year with Derrick Henry, every year with his running game, every year with this offensive line, as the year goes on, they get better and better and better. And they start to find their rhythm. It's almost like they have to get a lather up, before they really start to hit their stride. But it feels like they're there, and look, it's the Texans, whatever. And by the way, I did look up running backs who have rushed for over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns in a game against the Texans all time. Derrick Henry's done it 4 times. Mm-hmm. Everyone else has done it once. Larry Johnson in 2005. Okay. So
maybe it's not cheating.
It's pretty rare. Not everybody is doing it. So
all right, sounds good. Well, I have the next clip queued up, but I've got questions flooding my psyche. What were your thoughts on Double D in this game?
He was okay as a run blocker. He's still, he's lethargic. Like, he's just slow. He's slow-footed. There's another play where Brewer knocks him down. Actually, this time it's a double team, and I might have that clip in here. I'm not totally sure. But it's a double team block, and Brewer just tosses his man to the ground, and Daly's trying to kind of help, but kind of just whiffs and falls down and doesn't block anybody again. And again, it's one of those runs where Derrick Henry, it doesn't matter. He doesn't block anyone, but still it's a 20-yard gain or whatever it was.
Right.
But yeah, Daly, it was probably his best game, since taking over the starting job here. But that's a super low bar. It was not super necessarily great. It wasn't a plus performance, but it was just he didn't kill them, mostly because he didn't have to pass protect for pretty much the whole game. I think the one sack that people kind of blamed him for, looking back at it, I really thought it was on Malik Willis more so than anything, just holding the ball. So I felt like he was okay in this game. No real big gaffes. But yeah, here's another run. This is the one that actually gets called back for holding on Nick Westbrook-Ikhine.
I feel like once a week we have one of these, right? I feel like 3 or 4 weeks in a row now we have reviewed film of a phantom holding call. There was the Traylon Burks one against Washington, maybe. There've been a couple where it's been like what, or against Indy, where it's like, what is going on?
Yeah, I have no idea what they want Nick Westbrook to do here.
I think the refs are just like, this guy's terrorizing this team. We got to give him something. There's no way he can be doing this.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. But yeah, again, like, great blocking from Brewer. Brewer absolutely gets on his man and rides him all the way out of the play. Kevin Rader does a nice job blocking. They kind of used him as the fullback in this game, replacing Torrey Carter. And look, Kevin Rader's been good for them. That's been one free agent addition, or practice squad guy that they picked up that every time I watch him, I kind of feel like, hey, he's doing something pretty nice. Like, I notice him way more for good things than I do bad things. And it's usually, he hasn't caught a pass, right? So he's a run blocker. He's basically a mobile tackle at this point. But he also does a lot on special teams. I think he's like tied for the team lead in special teams tackles, even though he arrived mid-season. He's been good. He's a nice little piece for them.
He has been.
There's totally phantom hold here, but the blocking's great. And Henry just continuing to be special.
So our next clip, I apologize for the wait, being a little funky on us here. Here we go. This was a long touchdown from Derrick Henry on his zone read.
Yeah. Look. This is just total freak stuff. And this is one, I saw some people, and we'll talk about Malik Willis and his performance after the break. But this is one thing where I think Willis did help a little bit the running game. I thought some people were like, well, Malik Willis being in clearly helped Derrick Henry a ton in this game. I don't think I'm buying that narrative generally. Now, this play specifically, I think he helps a little bit because, maybe the end is a little bit more prone to collapse on Ryan Tannehill, though Tannehill still can run the football. And I think everyone knows that Tannehill can run the football. I think people do respect him on those read runs. So I'm not sure I totally buy it, but look, you see the end, he's unblocked. They're reading him. He stays home. And that's really all they need. But, the blocks here, Davis washes his man down. Nicholas Petit-Frere, Ben Jones get their blocks on the linebackers. And then it's just Derrick Henry. I mean, like that cut right there is just special. It is. There's other backs that can do that, but none of them are 6'3" and 260 pounds, so.
And none of them can carry a 30 carry per game workload.
Exactly. I mean, the footwork and the feet, and then like you turn around and you move the ball into the offhand so you can use the stiff arm, get inside the pylon, all that stuff. It's all there. And then the last thing I'll point out on this run is watch Aaron Brewer 55. Again, like Aaron Brewer's got pass protection issues. I get that. Like that is a problem, but he gets after it in the run game.
Dude, here's my thought on Aaron Brewer. Tell me if this is a crackpot take. If you could design, like if you had no constraints on roster construction, Aaron Brewer would be like the perfect for a Mike Vrabel who just gets so excited to run the ball down your throat. He would be to a Mike Vrabel like Taysom Hill was to a Sean Payton, where it's like, I want to use this guy in very specific circumstances. If we had a stud pass protection guard that we could swap out with Aaron Brewer on a regular basis to only handle our run blocking, it would be an ideal situation because this guy's so good at one thing. It's just, he's not great at the other things.
He is. Yeah. And like, I think maybe he'll get better as a pass blocker as he goes. He's still a young guy kind of learning, NFL speed, NFL power.
I stand by if you get a competent left tackle, both run blocker, but importantly pass protector to put next to him, that he would look a lot better.
I think so too, because
he's in no position to. He's the sidecar to the motorcycle. When he has to be the motorcycle in the pass protection, it's rough.
Yeah, I would agree. But I mean, yeah, here he just gets after this defensive tackle and then like just log rolls him over. But I love the way he plays. Like he is ferocious out there. And you have to be if you're going to be a 6'1", 290 or whatever he is, guard in the NFL. But I just love the way he plays. Like this block didn't make this run. Like he could have just made a standard backside block basically here. But I just love the way he plays. And one more thing on that run. That play, a lot of times that inside zone read, which is what that is, they will run that to the front side and give Henry an opportunity to cut that back. But that appears to me that was a design cutback because everyone just blocks down. Like Nate Davis doesn't even try to reach the nose tackle here. So watch Nate Davis 64 at the right guard. He doesn't even try to reach him. Like he's watching him come the whole way. Which tells me they designed that to be a design cutback off of inside zone, which again is another like little detail that helps this team in the run game that is different. I thought, there was a lot of that in this game where I thought they got really creative in the run game and helped, if you're going to run the ball, they're going to run the ball 40 something times in this game.
Yeah.
If you're going to run the ball that many times, you're going to have to get pretty creative because there's only so many times you can just slam, outside zone, inside zone duo at them without dressing it up a little bit, even if you are executing at a high level like they were.
Right. Yeah, I agree. From a layman's perspective, when I watched this tape back, the thing that stood out to me most in the run game was, and seemingly this probably comes across as like, well, duh, yeah, that applies to anybody. But I don't think it applies to anybody more than it does the Tennessee Titans and Derrick Henry. The theme of their run game and blocking in the run game is get Derrick cleanly back to the line of scrimmage. Because with Derrick Henry, that is all you need to do. If you can get him 3, 4, 5 clean steps, it's over. It's ball game. You'll run for 200 yards every single time. And they did that so well in this game.
Yeah, he runs through arm tackles better than anybody. And then once he's in the open field, he's an absolute nightmare. Because you see guys defenders treat him differently in the open field. You know, they aren't going to come downhill and try to make a tackle like they would anyone else because they're afraid of getting posterized or just getting flat run over. And sometimes you see people react a little different way, which gives them a few extra yards and opportunities. So yeah, getting Derrick Henry to the second level, always a good thing.
Well, to continue our fanboy session on Derrick Henry and Aaron Brewer, this one was labeled Derrick Henry, nice run through a violent pancake from Brewer. So I'd imagine this is going to be a lot of the same right here.
Yeah, this is the play that that I mentioned with Dennis Daly falling down.
Okay.
Henry has to jump over him again. But you see Brewer and Daly are double teaming the three tech right there. But Brewer really just takes him and just shoves him to the ground. I mean,
Daly does nothing right here. That's amazing.
Daly thinks he's going to get some resistance, which is why he ultimately falls down, and he just has nothing there because Brewer's already tossed him out of the club. You know, it's just it's fun to watch this group, especially like I said, the interior trio, because they just get after it. I mean, they are playing great football. Davis here, you get a wonderful pull and kick out block from him on this little trap look that they're running. This is really, really fun. Really fun blocking to watch. I mean, this is just it is offensive line football porn is really what this whole game
1,000%.
was.
Yes. So we've got a handful more Henry runs. We'll just kind of we'll cycle through here. We'll flip through them because I feel like we've addressed most everything there is to address. Henry, very good, very back. Titans run blocking, very good. They just need to learn how to pass protect at all.
Yeah, and I mentioned, Derrick Henry this week in my piece for paulkorski.com, how close he probably is to the Hall of Fame as far as just having his spot secure. You can make an argument for him right now for the Hall of Fame, but statistically, he's probably not quite there. If you look at all the guys that have gotten in and guys that haven't.
If he messes around this year and does another 2K, that's going to be the lock, right? I mean, that all but secures it.
If you get 2,000-yard seasons, I think you have to be in for sure. And then the other milestone, I think if you get to 10,000 yards, there's 0 running backs that are going to end up not being in the Hall of Fame. Adrian Peterson is in this group, but has not made it in yet because he just retired, obviously. Mm-hmm. But all of the running backs who have reached 10,000 yards and 100 rushing touchdowns have gone into the Hall of Fame. So obviously,
is Frank Gore, is he in that category as well?
He is not. No, I think he falls short.
I was about to say because that would have been the breaker. I think I'm not sure he's going to get in. So yeah, is he the 100 touchdowns that he doesn't have?
I think it's 100 touchdowns that he doesn't.
He's got to have 10,000 yards. There's just no way.
Yeah. Okay, long as he played, I'm pretty sure he did. But yeah, it is almost a lock. And Henry is at, I think it's 75 touchdowns 74 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, and
74 rushing. Yeah,
that's right. And he's at about 7,500 yards roughly, which if he continues on his current pace, he will hit 10,000 yards late next season. And he will probably be around 100 touchdowns late next season too. So by the end of next year, he could pretty much have a cemented Hall of Fame candidacy if he continues at his current pace.
Well, and what that tells me is even if the pace doesn't continue, because right now he is back at his kind of breakneck pace, an injury can derail that, father time can derail that. If he plays 3, definitely 4 more seasons at all in really any role, he's gonna reach those benchmarks. There's no way. As long as he does not retire in the next 2 years, I think it's a lock.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the way they redid his contract and everything, he will be here next year at a very minimum.
And that's an interesting conversation we don't have to get deep into, but this team, I think Derrick Henry is one of the rare players where talking about money and age and past trends with running backs and roster construction philosophy, I think all of those things are out the window. With a guy like Derrick, I'm not sure there's anybody in the league that means more to their team's identity than Derrick Henry does to the Titans. And yeah, we saw them continue the same identity with Derrick Henry, Walmart versions of Derrick Henry last year when he went out. And they're able to do that. And part of that is just their culture is fantastic. But with Derrick on the team, I just see him as a guy, as long as the wheels aren't completely off and he's like, a disaster, like can't stay on the field, can't get more than 2 yards per carry kind of guy. If he's still got legs at all, I don't see any reason why this team wouldn't. I expect them to hang on to him longer than they probably should, is what I'm ultimately saying, because of the culture.
That. Yeah, I could see that. I think he and Jeffrey Simmons are like they're the cornerstones of this franchise on both sides of the ball right now. Like, right there, they are they're freaks among freaks physically, but they are so physical, so powerful. And this is a team that wants to be physical and powerful above all else. That is their ethos. That is their, calling card, is they are a physical, beat you up, hit you in the mouth team. And no two players embody that more than Derrick Henry and Jeffrey Simmons, really probably in the whole league. I mean, those are the two guys that are like, man, you want to talk about just a beast. Those two guys are beasts. I mean, it's unbelievable.
So here is, we've exhausted our Derrick Henry film. This one is we're bringing the Titans defense in here. What stood out to you on this play?
So this is a nice play that I wanted to highlight, really from a coverage standpoint. Bud Dupree gets the sack here eventually, but the Titans secondary had a fantastic week. PFF had some stats out this week where they measure what they consider perfectly covered plays, which basically means everybody's on their man. No busted coverage. Within
no dramatic separation, right?
No big separation. So 75% of the Titans snaps, or the Texans dropbacks in this game, the Titans were graded as perfect coverage, which is extreme outlier. The next highest last week was the Niners, I believe, had 50%.
Wow. And what was the Titans percentage again?
75%.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. It's a huge gap from 1 to 2.
Texans wide receivers are so bad. Wow, that is dramatic. I mean, the Titans have really good cornerbacks that are coming to their own, but I can almost guarantee you that number will be probably half of that this week against the Chiefs. Slight upgrade.
It'll be less. It'll be less for sure, but it is a testament to how like these young corners are coming along. I think more so than anything, because Kristian Fulton was phenomenal in this game. Roger McCreary was also phenomenal in this game. Fulton graded out with 100% perfect coverage rate in this game. McCreary graded out at 95 or 93.5%, which was the highest among all rookie corners in the league.
That's got to be his best game this year.
Yeah, I would say so. And look, both McCreary and Petit Frere since week, since that bye week, have really taken steps forward.
And what did we talk about on this show about how a lot of times rookies pre-buy, post-buy, it's a pretty dramatic change.
Yeah, and both of them have seen that happen. I mean, McCreary was excellent in this game. Fulton, the interception obviously was the memorable play for Fulton, which he beautifully picks, navigates through a pick route and gets the interception on. It's a poor throw from Davis Mills, who should have put the ball back shoulder on his receiver, reading that leverage. But either way, Fulton was in position that it wasn't going to be a first down anyways. So Fulton makes the play and stops that drive on the edge of the scoring zone, field goal range. So
did Terrence Mitchell get much run in this game?
He played a decent amount.
I meant to ask you this last week. Is it time for us to give maybe not flowers, but a flower to Terrence Mitchell for his him overcoming the adversity that he faced early in his Titans career?
Yeah, I actually think so. I actually think he's been solid for really going back to probably the Washington game. And he's really not given up a ton. He's not playing quite as much as he was at that point, because they've tried to get McCreary back outside more often. And that, obviously against the Colts, they were running a bunch of hooker snaps in the slot.
Yeah, the Andrew Adams changed the math entirely there.
Yeah. And then this last week, McCreary played more in the slot this last week than he did against Indy, but the Texans had a lot of heavy personnel in this game, so there was more snaps with McCreary outside, just because the Titans were in base defense more than they had been the previous week. So McCreary, to me, looks way more natural outside. I think that's where he needs to be, and that's why I think Elijah Molden returning is a big deal for this defense, even more so than I think Elijah Molden is a fine football player. I think he's a playmaker and things like that. He may not be the most lockdown corner in the league or anything like that. He's not that special. But
come on, Mike, he's the Jedi of the slot. What are you talking
about? That's right, the Jedi of the slot. I mean, he is like, he's a playmaker in there. Like he is a guy that's going to disrupt.
Your point is, it's not his individual impact. It's
that's right.
what the impact that him returning has on the rest of the defense.
That's right. It bumps McCreary up to his natural spot, allows him to play better, and gives him a guy who is, it improves two positions by bringing back one guy.
Yeah, it's addition by addition for sure.
Yeah. So in this snap here, I mean, like Fulton at the top of the screen, just a beautiful job reading the quarterback's eyes the whole time on this play. Like he's got responsibility for the flat here, but as soon as he sees Mills kind of move off of that and go,
he turns it into triple coverage back there. I mean,
he bails out and is right in position. I mean, honestly, that's probably a pick if that's a well thrown ball. So Fulton, some of the stuff that he's always been a good cover guy. Like he's always had coverage skills and been able to get up and run and press man and do all that stuff. But what he's really improved on to me is like his eyes and discipline and understanding how to play these coverages. And then also his physicality coming down and tackling. Like he had a tackle for loss in this game that was a really nice play on a wide receiver screen. And then, because I think his total
tackling, I think quietly maybe the biggest area of improvement for him this year, because he was an abysmal tackler, just bad.
He was early on. He's gotten a lot better in that regard, but he's playing at a super high level at the moment. Obviously, this game he was targeted 7 times, allowed 1 completion for -3 yards, which was that wide receiver screen that he blew up, and then had the pick, obviously. So a literal 0 quarterback rating throwing to him, which, if you throw the ball in the dirt, I think the quarterback rating is like 40 or something like that. So if they just thrown it out of bounds 7 times, they would have had a better rating.
Well, here's a little love for McCreary. Here's a nice play by him.
Yeah, this is McCreary's in the slot on this play, and he is they're trying to get a little rub wheel route going. So they're running, trying to get McCreary kind of caught up in the traffic. Here is I think that's Mitchell. Yeah, that's Mitchell on the outside at the top of the screen, pressed up. And McCreary does a good job avoiding the traffic, but then just running right in the hip pocket with Philip Dorsett, which, look, Dorsett isn't a great receiver by any means, but he can run. He was a 4.33 guy, I think, coming out of Miami. And so McCreary running step for step down the sidelines with him here kind of shows off some of McCreary's athletic abilities. But just really good coverage, just getting in phase and just staying right there in the hip pocket, staying connected, and then getting his head up, looking back for the ball at the last minute here too, even though it's overthrown. So it wasn't like he had to make a play on it.
Right. Just making sure we don't have any more secondary to get in here, because we have got a bevy of Jeff Simmons love to hand out. I believe that's all we have for the secondary. So our last segment for the film room here, let's just go down the line. We got some Simmons and Autry as well, but Simmons in particular, man, he had himself a game.
Yeah. Coming off 3 DNPs during the week with that ankle, sitting out of all of practice.
What did we say last week? He does not. This guy doesn't need to practice. He's game.
Yeah, he did not need to practice. He was perfectly fine. Maybe they should just not have him practice the rest of the season, because
maybe if that's what it happens, then yeah.
Season best 7 pressures in this game. Absolutely dominated. I mean, like, just snap in, snap out, and like it. You really could not tell if he was feeling anything on that ankle. You could not tell. Here, he doesn't end up getting the pressure himself. But you watch how quickly he beats the right guard and forces the center to pick him up. And that leaves Autry, Autry beats the other guard. So when you've got 2 guys that both win and there's only one help blocker, you're going to have a good time. And so Autry gets a free run here and crushes.
Do some quick maths on that one. It's a pretty good recipe for success, I'd say.
Yeah. And Mario Edwards joining the party there in the backfield too.
This next one is a blown up play of the rookie. He's picking on Kenyon Green here for a tackle for loss.
Yeah, this one, everybody probably remembers this one, but whenever you can throw a 320-pound first-round pick guard into the running back to make him tackle him.
Does Jeffrey Simmons lead the league in the last 2 years in tackles made using opponents?
He probably does.
He probably does.
there are a lot of examples I can think of where he just walks a guard back into, whoever's got the ball, whether it's quarterback or the running back.
Yeah.
I mean, I made the joke on Twitter, I think, during the game that, like, I feel like sometimes Jeffrey Simmons just gets bored during a game and just decides he's going to show off, do like a feat of strength, like picking up a full keg of beer and throwing it over a wall or something like that.
Yeah.
He's like, I think this play, I'm just going to bench press this guard right into a running back.
Hey, y'all, check this out. This is about to blow your mind.
Yeah, here, hold my beer. Watch this.
Yeah, exactly. Here he is blowing up a zone look, another run play that went nowhere. The Texans, I feel bad. I hyped up Dameon Pierce last week, who I still think is a very good runner, by the way. But this Titans run defense, I mean, it is the best in the league right now, and I don't think it's particularly close.
Yeah, it's ferocious. I mean, you look at the numbers.
And without help, right? That's the key, is like they are getting all of this run defense without stacking the box. Doesn't matter. They have the guys in there. It's all they need.
That's right. I mean, you can see it right here. I mean, they're playing too deep. I mean, there's only 6 guys in this box against 6 blockers. That is a run look for the Texans all the way. And it doesn't matter because Jeffrey Simmons is better than the guy that you've trying to block him with. And he blows it up, and then David Long ends up coming through to clean it up for the tackle for loss eventually here. But I mean, the way these guys play up front, particularly Simmons, Dupree, and Tart, completely control the line of scrimmage. Completely. Yep. They never get moved off the ball ever. It just does not happen. And it makes it really hard to run when you get no vertical push, because you're just running into a picket fence at that point. So it's really fun to watch this group operate. I mean, like, the rushing yards that they've given up over the last 4 games are 38, 43, 65, 43. And I mean,
write that down, fantasy players. If you running backs playing the Titans that week, it's good as a buy. Don't play them.
Sit them out. It is, and they aren't giving up any rushing touchdowns either. I mean, they haven't given up a rushing touchdown, I think, since Saquon Barkley in week 1. So this defense, and that allows them to do a lot on the back end too, right? Because they are fully able to control the run up front with that defensive line, and that allows them to mix and match coverages, and they don't have to worry about bringing safeties up into the run fit necessarily, because they got it. Like, they have it. So it is really fun to watch. And anytime you can make a team completely one-dimensional, it helps. Like, that is going to help.
Well, here's the basic equation, and the reason why they're the best run defense in the league, and this has to be the thinking of the coaches, right? If we are willing to play 6-on-6 blockers versus run defenders, and we've got Tier Tart, who we expect to win his one-on-one fight half the time, Jeffrey Simmons, he's going to win some, Bud Dupree, he's going to win some, Nico Autry, he's going to win. So you've got 4 guys who on any given play, it feels like a coin flip that they're going to win their one-on-one. That's you got more than half of your guys, you're confident somebody's going to win. And so, like, that is a winning recipe. When you've got 4 guys who as individuals, you think this is a plus player in one-on-one blocking assignment. Like, it's a ridiculous combination of guys. Usually you see these great defensive fronts contain, a Max Crosby or a Jadeveon Clowney and a Myles Garrett. Like, it's not ever, very rarely, or just a Parsons. Like, rarely it is a 4 guys. Maybe none of them are Jeffrey Simmons the closest to a true A-list caliber NFL celebrity type. But even though none of them are the biggest household names, they all 4 are in that upper echelon of guys that can win one-on-one.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, you look at ESPN's not pass rush, run stop win rate, which is one of the metrics that they track. The top 10 defensive tackles in the league in that metric, Jeffrey Simmons is number 3, Tier Tart is number 8. The Titans have 2 of the top 10 run stopping defensive tackles in the league right now. So
ridiculous.
That pretty much tells you exactly what it is to run against the Titans right now. It's just no fun. You're not going to have a good time, and you might as well not even try, which against a team like Kansas City, maybe that doesn't matter because they're going to throw the ball anyways. They don't really
like to run anyways. Yeah.
So, that's going to be an interesting test for this defense, which we'll get into more later, but against teams that want to run the ball or teams that need to run the ball, like Houston needs to run the ball to help Davis Mills. You cannot do it. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Nope.
And it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out kind of as the season goes on. Cause I think this run defense is going to continue to be elite. It was elite last year. I thought it was going to be elite this year. And those first 2 weeks, they kind of struggled a little bit. And I was like, I was just shocked. I was like, I think it's going to come back. They're too talented up front, not for run stopping to come back, and they're totally back now.
Yeah, agreed. It was kind of bizarre how poorly it started, but they just, I guess, weren't awake. I don't know how else to Saquon is a very good running back, so I don't know how else to quantify that. Here's another just blown up play by Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah, he just takes the center and walks him right back directly to Davis Mills. Now, it is an absolute miracle for Davis Mills that he did not fumble this football, because if you watch Jeffrey Simmons, he walks this center all the way back, and then watch the swipe.
Oh,
he
man.
hits his wrist.
Yeah.
He hits his wrist. I don't know how Davis Mills got that ball away, but he
iron grip. He's glued it to his hand.
Very lucky. Yeah, that was not a fumble, because that should have been a strip sack and another feather in the cap for Jeffrey Simmons, but it goes down as just an incomplete pass.
Now, it's not a strip, but there's a sack here. This is Jeff's did he only have one sack on the day?
He only had one sack. Yeah.
Yeah, but a handful of pressures. This was the one time he did end up getting home, and 54 just standing there in shame, never had a chance.
Yeah. This is one of those where it's an immediate win. There's not even resistance here. Like, he basically just lines up and runs straight to Davis Mills. In the
NFL one-on-one seminar, if somebody raises their hand and the question is, why don't teams single block Jeffrey Simmons? You just throw this on the screen and you say, check this out right here. They didn't even, there's a help guy here, but he foolishly chooses to not help against Simmons, and 54 is left alone, and things go very poorly.
Yeah, I think, Andrew Adams blitzing here kind of forces that. It's a nice design by the Titans to kind of scheme a one-on-one for Simmons here. But yeah, anytime they can get Simmons one-on-one, especially against a center, because centers, like, there's just a lot going on mentally for centers. And when you also have to then line up and block Jeffrey Simmons one-on-one, really, really tough ask for any center, much less, a below average center. Like, I think that's, it's one of the Quessenberries. I think it's Scott Quessenberry.
I believe David is up in Buffalo. Yeah, somewhere north. All right, our second to last clip here. Once again, another Simmons play where he just wreaks havoc on the offensive line here. Yeah,
this one, he doesn't end up getting the pressure. Like, Tier Tart is really the one that gets in there, and frankly, like, is that Strong or is that Tart? I can't tell. It's Strong.
97.
Strong. Yeah, Strong. Kevin Strong. So Kevin Strong gets in there, and frankly, that is a hold all day long as he's trying to get through. But watch how quickly Simmons beats the guard again, and like, the center has no choice but to come help. So it just makes to where the guy playing next to Simmons almost always is going to have a one-on-one, unless, and if he doesn't, then you're in real trouble, because then you've got Simmons one-on-one. So
right.
It's a great formula for the Titans right now.
Here's our last clip. Once again, Jeffrey Simmons. They got 5 on the line for this one. And he gets in there, nearly gets a hand on the ball, forces the ball out early.
This swim move is really what I wanted to highlight here. Like, Simmons has always been powerful. Ever since he came in the league, he was powerful. He had the bull rush. He was ready. Like, he was always capable of knocking guys back. But now he's got this lateral quickness that he's added to his game. And I think he was part of the reason we didn't see that early on was the knee injury and him coming back from that and kind of building back, the lateral ability and confidence to kind of push and go full speed off that knee. But he is fully back now. And that swim move is absolutely vicious for a guy with that kind of power.
All right, everybody drink, because Easton and Mike spent 50 minutes talking about film when they said they'd spend 30. But it's kind of become the norm around here, and we're happy to do it because there's so much to dive into. But for those of you listening and or watching for free, we have to say goodbye to you now, because for some reason you've decided you are not in a financial situation to buy a Broadway Insider pass. And I'm here to tell you you're wrong. That's a lie. Everyone can afford this because it is just the price of 1 cup of coffee a month. That's all it is. A trip to Starbucks. Take one out. It'll help you on the gut, and it'll also help you in your football intelligence because you'll get to engorge yourself with all of this fantastic content we have here. The rest of the Mike Herndon Show is the first thing you're going to get off the top. You can watch the rest of this show. We got a lot to talk about. We're only halfway through here. We've got our Malik Willis debut discussion. Going to talk about what we did and mostly what we didn't see from him last Sunday. Titans Chiefs, big game, lot to preview there. The deadline has passed. The trade deadline has come and gone. The Titans didn't make any moves. We're going to talk a little bit about that, kind of dive into the philosophy of the front office, the decision-making behind why they didn't make a move this week. And then talking about the Titans, kind of a mid-season check-in. Where do we see this team amongst the rest of the AFC? How do we think they stack up against these other top teams? That's a fascinating discussion that's kind of going to bleed over, I think, from a little bit of Twitter discussion earlier this week. I'm excited to talk about that. Then, of course, to round us out, Moneymaker Mike, still up on the year. So, hey, guess what? I'm going to tell you again, just subscribe, get the show, watch the full Mike Herndon Show behind the paywall, listen to the Moneymaker Mike picks, and you're going to get refunded for the show. It's an infinite money hack. Hello. So we got picks for you there. And then the Mike drop segment before we get out of here. Mike's going to lay his hottest take of the week on us, which is always fascinating and interesting and maybe a little bit crazy. All of that is yours if you become a Broadway Insider today. Use code INSIDER when you sign up for the monthly subscription. Only a 99-cent charge for your first month. And then from there on out, just $6.99 a month. Again, the cost of a trip to Starbucks, or if you just want to set it and forget it, pay for a whole year. Use code ANNUAL to get $20 off your annual subscription for just $49.99 for the entire year. You get the rest of this show. You get all of our premium and early access articles. You get access to special fantasy groups and chats. A lot of things coming down the pike that we are excited to offer to our premium insiders. And it also helps us keep the lights on and keep giving y'all all this great content. So it means a lot to us. So if you're an insider, hang tight. We're about to get into all of the good, tasty insider bits of the show. If you're not, go sign up right now, then come back and watch the rest. We'll talk to you later.